You may have heard of the saying, man is his own worst enemy. You are your worst enemy. Actually, I would say that you are the best friend of your worst enemy. Man is not your worst enemy. The devil is. There's a man's arch-enemy called Satan. Whether you believe it or not, doesn't change anything. Because this is crystal clear in the world that evil exists. God warned us about the existence of evil and gave us conditions to overcome it. And God's own existence confirms that too. The evil exists. Because God is light. God is light. But the world is in darkness. Why is that? Why is God being light, justice itself, and all that is good, yet there is still so much evil in the world? These facts point to an enemy force against God, and the human beings are between the two to make their own choices. So man's worst enemy is not himself, but he is the best friend of their worst enemy. Let's learn what that means. When you give in emotionally to your will, to the feelings and emotions that arise naturally in you, you become the best friend of your worst enemy. The devil takes advantage of this emotional weakness from the human being. He knows that every human being is inclined to emotions, both good and bad. We are emotional beings. We fall in love, we become happy or angry. We have many feelings in us, and feelings are very strong because they can manipulate our will. They manipulate what we know is right, and we end up doing the wrong. For example, how many fall in love for someone who is already married? They know that the person is married, that has no future. If that continues, it will cause disaster for everyone involved. But their passion makes them to ignore all these facts, and they pursue this feeling. You see the strength of a feeling. The strength of a feeling that leads at times someone in a burst of anger to kill someone. They can kill a parent, a child. And it is interesting that people watch the news, see these tragedies that happen basically daily. The father killing the son, the mother threw the child from the window, the husband killed the mistress. People watch this news and they say, what a horrible thing, this is an animal, not a human being. And they forget that the same animal feeling, a feral instinct, is in them, is in us. We just don't do the same as in the news because we fear the consequences. There's something that blocks us, well, in most human beings, but the feeling is the same. How many times you felt things that you shouldn't feel or do? Maybe you had the strength to resist, but the feeling was there. In other words, the same nature that was in the person who committed a crime, that in the news, is in us. We are the same in this sense. So when you emotionally give in to the feelings and emotions in your own will, is when you make yourself the best friend of your worst enemy. Is when the devil enhances human feelings against the human being themselves. Maybe, right now, you are harboring in your heart a grudge. You hold a grudge. You don't call it a grudge because it may sound too strong, but you give another name. It's not a grudge. I'm not resentful. I forgave the person. I'm not holding a grudge. But, and you describe everything that a grudge is. You don't call it grudge, but you describe everything that a grudge means. I don't want to see that person. When I see them, I feel angry. If something bad happens to them, secretly, I'll be happy. All this is a grudge. Why? Because something in the past happened, that they did something against you, and you became resentful, and you couldn't process this feeling or get rid of this feeling. You kept the feeling, and this is eroding you from inside. This is disturbing your relationship with the person and is harming you. Not only your relationship with that person, maybe you don't interact with the person every day, but the feeling is with you every moment, 24/7. So this feeling is eroding you, and you become this bitter person, revengeful. Time to time, you say a poisonous word when the topic is the person so-and-so. Yes, they do that. You use a poisonous word. Why? Because the poison is dripping out of your mouth, because the grudge is taking over your heart, and evil takes advantage of it. The evil sees that you are inclined to grudges. What does he do? He promotes similar experiences for you, between you and others, that you may increase this container of grudges in you. Do you understand how you are helping unintentionally your worst enemy? Maybe you have the feeling of laziness, another feeling. Who doesn't feel lazy when the alarm rings? You slept late, you haven't had a good night, and then you snooze the alarm for another 5 minutes. We all identify with it. But we're only talking about the alarm. But during the day you feel lazy on making the call or facing that big problem that it will not be easy because you will have to talk to someone, you will have to face a problematic decision, and then you procrastinate. No, I won't do this today. I will do it tomorrow. You leave it for later, and you wish that the problem disappears by itself. You won't. Each day that you delay to resolve a problem, it only grows. But the laziness, the fear, am I right? That feeling of discomfort that you have to face the problem makes you to avoid the issue. And then what happens? You become your enemy's best friend, because evil works to delay your life, and soon someone demands that from you. What about that, what I asked you to do? And you say no, and then you have the reputation of someone who is irresponsible, and you are not promoted at work. Maybe you are fired, and then you complain, I'm not lucky. I'm not lucky in my life. It's not that you are not lucky, you gave in to your feelings. Each moment we give in to our own will that leads us to do the opposite of what we should, we are being our enemy's best friend. We self-destruct, or helping our greatest enemy to destroy us. You have to be alert about this. Be alert and learn to overcome your feelings. Don't be someone who gives in to feelings. You need to learn to pray, to surrender what you feel to God. You need to learn to be understanding. This doesn't make any difference to me. I will let go of it. You need to learn to be more practical. Let's do what we must, and quickly. As Jesus spoke to Judas, what you have to do, do it quickly. When Judas came to betray him, when the soldiers came to arrest Jesus, he told the soldiers, and Judas was amongst them, what you have to do, do it quickly. In other words, Jesus knew that he had to go through that. His will was that the Father would take the cup away from him. But when the time came, he said, what you have to do, do it quickly. So dear friends, bring this to you. What you have to do it quickly. Do you have to forgive? Forgive quickly. Do you have to solve the problem? Solve it quickly. What do you have to do? You need to overcome your past. So overcome it. Do you need to end this relationship that is going nowhere? So cut it off. Delete this social media that is harming you. Cut the credit card that you know you don't have the condition to handle it. Do what you have to do. Go and make peace with your spouse, with your parents. What you have to do is to do it quickly. Because the quicker you solve it, you solve this problem, your will, the quicker you will overcome the evil that is taking advantage of your feelings. If today's video helped you and you know someone that could benefit from it, share it with them, and if you haven't subscribed to the channel, you may do so now. See you later.